Lions Rock Productions.
This is Jay Moore.
This is Greg Prue.
This is Bryce Vine.
This is Dexter from The Offspring.
This is Nathan
This
East.
is Sebastian Younger.
This is Daryl.
This is Stuart Copeland.
This is Mick Gillette.
This is Andy Summers.
This is Dr. Bob Greenberg.
This is Gabby Reese.
This is Rob Bell.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
And now, the Break It Down Show with John Leon Guerrero and Pete A. Turner.
Hey, this is Pete A. Turner.
Hey, this is Scott Burford.
And today we've got a monster of an album fight. We've got Stevie Wonder versus Stevie Ray Vaughn, the Stevies. This is a fight that Scott built. He wanted to get these two albums in the ring. And so I called upon a Benicia by marriage friend, Todd Nemeth. Is it all schwaz?
Yeah, exactly.
Todd Nemeth. You've got Todd, our guest today. He is married into the Benicia High family and found out earlier off mic that he is a fellow Tower alum, so I'm sure that will come up. But I wanted to get your intro on these two albums, Scott.
Well, let's start with Stevie Wonder. When this album, Talking Book, came out in 1972, he was only 22 years old. Well, for most artists, when you're 22, you might be putting out your first or second LP, right? Well, for Stevie Wonder, it was his 20th. I mean, he started when he was 12 years old recording for Motown Records. He was little Stevie Wonder. In this album, Talking Book, he graduated from little Stevie Wonder into Stevie Wonder, the pop genius. And Talking Book is really the first in a series of epic albums that he's going to put out in the 1970s. So I'm really happy that we're looking at this album today. Of course, it's going up against another Stevie Ray Vaughn. And if you look back to the 1980s and the resurgence of blues music into the mainstream, Robert Cray and Stevie Ray Vaughn were the two guys that made that happen. They almost single-handedly brought it back. They got rock, blues songs put back on the radio. They influenced a hell of a lot of musicians at that time moving forward. And they brought back into prominence some of the Hall of Famers, blues artists from the 50s, in the 60s, guys like Buddy Guy, who sort of fell by the wayside and were forgotten. All of a sudden now, Stevie Ray Vaughn's covering his songs, bringing him back into prominence, getting him bigger and better record deals. So it was a wonderful thing that happened with Stevie Ray Vaughan. This was his fourth album. Sadly, it was his last, and it leaves a lot of us wondering what may have been. There's some great tunes on this album that we're going to look at today. And I'm sad that he's gone. I cried when he died.
Yeah, it's a big deal for guys from our generation. I know at the time I worked at Tower, the year that his album came out, and we all just could not get enough of it. It was so good. It was exciting. And then when he passed away, basically a year later, it was like just the floor fell out from under all of us that really wanted more from him, and I was dying to hear more. I was lucky enough to work at Tower and be in that environment. Also with New Kids on the Block coming out, that was sort of exciting as well. Just a neat time for music, and such a shame that he couldn't continue to be part of it. What are your thoughts, Todd, on these two albums going in?
Yeah, these are two sort of seminal transitional albums for both of them. You know, unfortunately, the last one for Stevie Ray. But, you know, he's processing sort of being in rehab and, you know, getting clean. And there's a lot of references to that. You know, for Stevie Wonder, I feel like he's kind of processing his breakup, his marriage breakup, you know, from Cyrita. You know, the production is different, right, between the two, because like one is produced for headphones. Talking Book is like more of a headphones album, and In Step is more of a like car stereo or party speakers kind of album. You know, but in terms of the songwriting and the playing, it's more of a transitional album for both of them.
All right. Well, with that said, I think we should get going. Any final thoughts, Scott, before we kick this over to Richard?
Well, there are some great matchups here. This is going to be a really, really interesting fight. And a lot of people might give it to Stevie Wonder without even thinking about it. But I think, you know what, we're going to find that there are some really strong songs by Stevie Ray Vaughan in this album that are going to make the decisions really tough.
Yeah, these guys are singular in their brilliance, and John had said that Stevie Wonder was made of music, and I've always thought that was an appropriate thing. But Stevie Ray Vaughan is the guitar, so it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. Let's see what Richard thinks with his patent-pending analysis.
I'm going to start this pre-fight off by apologizing to any Stevie Ray Vaughan fans that are listening to this podcast. More on this later. This week's fight features Stevie Wonder's 15th studio album from 1972, Talking Book. It features 2 Billboard Hot 100 singles in You Are the Sunshine of My Life and Superstition, as well as the greatest song Stevie Wonder ever recorded, I Believe When I Fall in Love, which is featured in one of the best movies that explores the love of music, High Fidelity, with John Cusack and Jack Black. Also, one of my 20 favorite movies of all time. It's up against Stevie Ray Vaughn and Double Trouble's album from 1989, In Step, an album that is 40% cover songs. Okay, it happened with the Eagles, and it's going to happen again. Sorry, Texas blues fans. Sorry, Memphis. The album was recorded here. Look, I'm just not a Stevie Ray Vaughan guy. I'm sorry. I know he's super talented, but like I've said to Pete, that's not enough. Super talented musicians playing boring music is still boring. This is a glorified cover band. A good one, but a cover band nonetheless. And yes, I know that it's a tradition for blues acts to cover other blues acts, so don't go at me with that. They do it in rock and roll too. They're just called wedding bands. Maybe I'm just jealous of his talent, or maybe I just don't look good in a leather trench coat and a plateau hat. Yeah, I had to look that one up. I just don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't like him. I've never liked his music. Yeah, he can play guitar really well. So what? It's shitty music. And I just don't get why he's up against the genius talent of Stevie Wonder. I'm sorry. I don't get it. They don't compare. So lucky for me, I have my patent-pending system to analyze this fight. iTunes makes it look like In Step would crush Talking Book, whereas Spotify puts Talking Book slightly ahead of In Step. Critics' ratings are close, but go to Talking Book, and in fact, the only other category that In Step wins is in album sales. Grammy wins and the Rolling Stone Top 500 albums all go to Talking Book. So according to the numbers, this one should go to Talking Book 6 rounds to 4, but with these judges lately, I just don't know what the hell they'll do. Look for strong rounds for Stevie Wonder in 1, 6, and 10, and look for Stevie Ray Vaughan to come out swinging in rounds 2, 3, and 10. So we've got one common round there this week. Please, guys, don't make me lose faith in humanity. Talking Book should win this in a close one. Sorry again to Stevie Ray Vaughan fans. You're beautiful, just don't like his music. Thank you.
All right, so Richard has the numbers, and, you know, I think it's fair to think that it might go towards Stevie, but I guess we're about to find out. With that said, let me say these words. Round 1, You Are the Sunshine versus House is a Rockin'. If you were worried about either act, here are 2 smash hits. In the ring right now, Todd, what do you think?
All right, well, this one was easy for me because I've never cared for You Are the Sunshine of My Life. It's not an interesting song to me at all. So I gave it an 8. It sounds like Billy Joel to me. The only thing that's interesting about it is it starts with the chorus instead of a verse, and it starts with the backup singer singing, which is actually super interesting. But I've just never cared for this song. On the other hand, House is a Rockin' is a great song. It comes right out of the gate. It's got 2 really, really cool guitar solos in it. You know, it's like Stevie Ray saying, okay, I've been to rehab, but I haven't lost a beat. And, you know, he's just kicking ass right out of the gate. So that was easy for me. 10-8, Stevie Ray.
A knockdown.
Yeah, right.
Round 1.
Right. Against You Are the Sunshine. Todd has opinions.
This song was number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. It won a Grammy for Best Male Pop Vocal Performance.
Well, it shows what I know.
And it goes down.
Yeah.
Well, hey, you know what? It does show, though, that our own personal biases do impact album fights, right? I mean, and especially with an album this old, going back to 1972, a lot of us heard it when we were really young. And you start to hear songs at a certain point in your life, you can have a really positive impression or a really negative impression, one way or the other. For me, it was a positive impression because the day after I got engaged, I called a local radio station in San Francisco and asked them to play this song to my wife as a reward for her saying yes. I mean, this was a song that the two of us listened to quite a bit. So I love the song personally. I look at, you know, the metrics of the song, and it's just a wonderful song. But that doesn't mean I don't love The House is Rockin'. I mean, this is a perfect opener for an album. It's it just goes right after it, full force. You know what it reminds me of? Is the Doors opening track, the Morrison Hotel album, Roadhouse Blues. It's a little bit faster tempo, but it's got that same vibe to it. And it makes me, you pop it in and everybody's like, oh yeah, this is good, right? So The House is Rockin' is a great tune. And for me, it's a really hard choice. So Todd, I get the fact that your personal feelings about it make for a knockdown situation. For me, I'm going 10-9 Stevie Wonder with You Are the Sunshine.
Yeah, both these albums got to put Grammys up, so this is why they're in there. And I'll do the disclaimer now. We love these albums. Scott picked this fight because he wanted to see what would happen. Todd held up. He's got a copy of Stevie's album, Stevie Wonder's album.
I got it on vinyl right here.
Yeah. So let's understand that though we might say things that are critical, it's only because we want to have these two albums, collide them together, and talk about them. We all three of us have enjoyed listening to these. So for the audience, if you hear this 3 years down the road and you're like, what the hell, Stevie's a god, or whatever, whichever Stevie you want, well, we love these guys. We absolutely want people to spend money on them, support them, buy the music. So we'll say that. I'll do my round one analysis now. You Are the Sunshine and House is a Rockin' are two great songs, and it just kind of depends on what you like. A beautiful love song that anyone would love to write in You Are the Sunshine, or a bluesy rocker that leaves no stone unturned. The only fight I find with Sunshine is the dumb panning effect, and I found it to be distracting. I get that it was a new thing to be able to hand pan everything while you record, but it doesn't bring anything to the song. And matter of fact, it distracts from it. I really did not like that at all. So I think Stevie Wonder loses round one based on an error. That's it. Everything else between these two songs is super close, and I'm going to call this one Stevie Ray Vaughn 10-9.
Just underscores how close these artists are, despite their diversity and how different they are.
For sure.
Hey, Scott, I got a question. That station you called, was it KDIA?
Yeah. Oh my God! No, it was KABL.
Oh, okay, because I love KDIA, man. I listen all the time. I got a bumper sticker.
I should have called KDIA actually,
Oh.
Todd. No, I called KFOG actually because I was listening to KFOG at the time.
KFOG days. KFOG still around?
Yeah, KFOG is. KDIA is not. They were Disney for a while, and then I don't know what they are now.
Yeah, trying to figure it
KFOG,
out.
I think, is run by robots now.
They're all run by
that's
robots.
A different discussion.
There's a whole thing
They
where,
all
I was talking to a guy that talked about how Alice Cooper had his own radio show, and he was in like a pirate satellite radio box out in the desert over here in the high desert in LA. And I'm like, that's all fake. He doesn't leave his house. He sits in his house in Arizona with his golf spikes on, records 15 minutes worth of audio. And if you really think that Alice Cooper is, anyhow, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Hey, Scott, start us off. Round 2, Crossfire versus Maybe Your Baby.
All right. Well, I'll say right at the outset, this pairing was my toughest choice on the entire battle. Maybe Your Baby, I love the synth at the beginning, and this is the where the Hohner clavinet comes out on this album for the first time. Now, we're going to hear that again later on in a real prominent way. It's a great tune. I really like it, but the song's too long. It kind of runs out of steam towards the end. It clocks in at about 6 minutes. It would have been a great song if it was 4 minutes. And then we look across the line at Crossfire. And, Crossfire was one of the singles that came out from this album. It got a ton of radio play, but it's a great tune. Interestingly enough, Stevie Ray Vaughn was not credited with writing any part of this song. His remaining band members, along with a husband and wife team, wrote this tune. But it starts to cover the theme of the album, Crossfire, caught between wrong and right. So it's a great tune, though. Stevie comes strong with the guitar. It's a very memorable song. If you look at the playlist for his concerts during 1990, this song was almost always in the playlist towards the end of the set. So it was clear that Crossfire was a song that he considered to be a very important song in his arsenal. Fans loved it. It's a great tune. But it was a tough one for me. Very, very close. I'm going 10-9 Crossfire.
Wow. All right. I had Maybe Your Baby, the song, just like you said, Scott, this song is a little bit too long. And that clavinet, I don't know what order he recorded the songs in, but he has not quite figured out the clavinet yet. He's still trying to figure it out. So this ends up sounding kind of like Cut, Rake, Sly Stone. And that's the same time frame. So I'm sure they're all talking and listening to each other and trying to figure it out. I have to do John the favor of mentioning Ray Parker Jr.'s guitar playing in the song. It's awesome. And while there's a lot of layering and thickness, both of these songs, I think, would have been better served by being shorter. You could have taken Crossfire, made that a 2-minute, 30-second rocker, and I think that song would have still held up and not been hurt by anything. It's a 4+ minute song. That's not bad, but I think if it was tighter, it would be even better still. It's a hit. So, what the hell am I talking about? But at this point right now, I like the decisions that Stevie Ray Vaughn is making. I think Crossfire is a career-defining hit for him, while Maybe Your Baby is, and I'm going to say this several times probably, but there's nothing wrong with Maybe Your Baby, and for a lot of other people, this would be a much bigger hit. But for Stevie Wonder, it's a good song, but it's not something... Well, it's not You Are the Sunshine, for crying out loud. So I have this one 10-9 Stevie Ray Vaughn. Todd?
Yeah, so this one, I really like Crossfire, and it's got a standard sort of pop song structure, right? So it's not like a blues, it's like a verse, chorus, bridge kind of thing. And so I really like it. Usually when I see a song that's credited to the entire band, that's like the worst one on the album. But, but this is one of the stronger songs. But Maybe Your Baby, I think, is just a fantastic song. I just think it's perfect. It's like you said, Ray Parker Jr. is just strangling the guitar, the entire time. It like starts and stops and stutters, and he's just choking the guitar to death. It's that like end of the relationship, and you're just kind of sitting there with your anger and your self-recrimination, and you're bitter, and it's so great. And like the bridge where he's like little Sally Walker sitting in a saucer, and it's just, and then at the very, very end, it's just kind of like choking out. It is like, it's like stupid baby, bitter baby, and it's just going and going. It's a great song for just stewing in your own juices. And so I gave it 10-9 for Stevie Wonder, because it's just such a great song for that mood.
And there aren't a lot of songs out there that are about stewing in your own juices.
Exactly.
So I love your analysis, Todd.
We've all been there, and exactly. There are not many go-to songs for that.
This is one of them.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Good analysis.
All right, so round 3, Tightrope versus You and I Can Conquer the World. So I have round 3 starting off like Stevie's got another ballad, and it's focusing on love, focusing on happiness of the one that you're with. It's a beautiful song, and he plays everything. I mean, this is one of the things that Stevie had earned by, instead of being little Stevie Wonder, now he's like, I'm going to have creative control over everything. And he certainly has the capability to do that. But I do think that this song and other songs on this album suffer from not having, I'll say like the adult in the room, the person that's getting paid to make sure that they don't overindulge. And I think that he gets just a little bit guilty of that here. And I'm really picking nits, but if I'm going to pick nits, that's what I'm going to do is he probably needs an outside set of ears to say, hey, let somebody else play something on this album. Let another voice come in like Ray Parker. Look how much he added in the last song. Tightrope is another rocker. It's Stevie Ray Vaughn just dominating the lightness of Wonder's ballads. Ray Vaughn is just coming in and swinging hard, and though I'm starting to fatigue a little bit on the guitar heroics, by the slimmest of margins, I'm gonna say that this is more of a filler song for Wonder. So Stevie Ray Vaughn 10-9.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Go ahead, Scott. What do you think?
Well, maybe I'm a sucker for sappy, optimistic ballads. I guess I'm just gonna have to live with that. You and I, We Can Conquer the World. I love that song. I mean, I don't listen to it all the time, but when I do listen to it and when I listen to this album, this song makes me feel good. I looked at a list of people who have covered this song. Streisand, Joe Cocker, Mariah Carey, Michael Bublé, Macy Gray, who appears to have covered every Stevie Wonder song ever, George Michael, and just last year, Jacob Collier won a Grammy for Best Arrangement of this song. So it's a good song.
Yeah.
What does it do for you personally, I think, is what made the difference for me. in this case. I love Tightrope too. Tightrope is Stevie Ray Vaughn being Stevie Ray Vaughn, but I just don't think he does it at a high enough level in this song. It's a good song. He wrote it with Doyle Bramhall, with whom he has a songwriting partnership. This is about their fourth song together, and they're all good, strong songs. But I look at the lineage of You and I and the artists that it has affected since it was written, so I got to give it 10-9 to You and I, We Can Conquer the World.
Todd, what did you do?
Interesting. Yeah, I really like the hook and Tightrope, and that's what kind of sold me on the whole song, that little guitar thing. And I really, really like that song. And like you said, it's Stevie Ray being Stevie Ray, and just kind of whipping out the hook, whipping out the solo, and it's just a fantastic song. I really like it. It's interesting. At the end of the lyrics, he makes a reference to making amends, right? So he's working the steps, and this is where, he's doing the 12-step programs. He's like explicitly talking about, like being in a 12-step program, and that's the name of the album, and that's the thing. And so I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, is every single song like a reference to a specific step in the program? And,
right.
There's a danger in reading too much into Stevie Ray's albums. So there, I was like, maybe this is a key. That aside, I really like this song. You and I is great. It's like classic. It's like Stevie Wonder sitting down at a piano, banging out a ballad. It's kind of like in Paul McCartney mode. He can just do these in his sleep. It's kind of like, I'm going to write my Yesterday, that everybody's going to cover. And it's hard to fault him for that, but I can't connect with this song for whatever reason. But I really like Tightrope, so I gave it 10-9 to Stevie Ray Vaughn.
Round 4, keep it going, Todd. Let Me Love Your Baby and Tuesday Heartbreak. What did you do?
All right. So Let Me Love You Baby, right? It's a Willie Dixon cover. It's like a straightforward cover song, really good. Like if I was at a bar listening to this, I would just drop whatever I was doing and just sit there with my mouth open and watch it, right? On an album, it sounds good, but not earth-shattering. Like if I was hearing it live, it would be a life-changing event. I like the lyric "shake like a willow tree." It made me wonder, what are all the things you can shake like? Like a lemon, a peach, a willow tree is what it's like. Is there a thesaurus somewhere?
Shake like a maraca.
Exactly. Polaroid picture. And then you got Tuesday Heartbreak, which I really like. David Sanborn, who I used to watch on the David Letterman show, play saxophone on that. And by the way, his name is wrong, spelled wrong on the album.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, it's like with an E. It's called Dave Sanborn with an E.
Huh.
This is like a radio friendly thing. And I'm going to give it 10-9 to Stevie Wonder on this, because I really like the lyrics. I like how the lyrics are somewhat down and then the music's somewhat up. And I always like that when the lyrics kind of belie the tone, or the tone belie the lyrics like that. I really like that in writing, and I like it in music a lot. So, and also because I think the cover is straightforward, but I don't think it adds a whole lot. So 10-9 Stevie Wonder.
What about you, Scott?
Todd, I think you just copied my notes. This could be Spygate, version 4 here. That's practically what I wrote for these two songs. So I'm going to try to make it sound like I actually have an original thought here. But I will say that I do agree with you with the contrast of the theme of the song and the arrangement of the song. I really dig the arrangement of the song. Coming out of a slow ballad, You and I, in a transition into this song, it just works perfectly on this album. So as you're listening to the songs in order, you come to Tuesday Heartbreak, and it really grabs your attention because it's a little more lively. I know that the subject matter of the song isn't necessarily a positive one, but it leaves you feeling good. At least it does for me. Now, Let Me Love You, Baby. I mean, I think it's accepted in the blues genre that covering other artists' songs is part of the game, and it's what you do. And you're paying tribute to people like Willie Dixon, who gave us so many blues songs that are covered over and over and over again these days, from Led Zeppelin all the way down the line. Everybody who is in the blues genre has covered Willie Dixon. And SRV does a nice job here, but it's not exemplary. It's not over the top, and it certainly doesn't eclipse the original. I'm looking at Tuesday Heartbreak just like you are, Todd, 10-9.
What I had round 4, I saw right away, and you know how this works, Scott. Like, there's a cover, Willie Dixon, and like you, I know you've got to pay homage to the old guys, and it's great that they do that. And get Willie Dixon's estate paid, hopefully, right? For the rights to the song,
exactly.
if he was able to have kept them. So I have no problem with that. But again, if you bring a 12-bar blues lick to a album fight, it just does not do well against original work, especially when it's the caliber of Stevie Wonder. So Stevie Ray Vaughan's first 3 hits or songs are all hits, and Stevie's had one hit and a number of excellent songs. And in this case, I just think that, the message in Tuesday Heartbreak, last song he's conquering the world with that girl, and now she's sort of moving on. And it's likely because he's still a dreamer, right? The guy that comes in and takes his place, he's got a job job. He's making money, and that's an upgrade for her over the dreamer guy. So I love that. And one of the things that I was struck by, and I don't know if you guys saw the same thing, but how many people cover all of Stevie Wonder's songs? It's like he just moves people. And I listened to Michael McDonald's version just to get a sense for if anybody's really stealing the song or not. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at WeFixYourScript.com. Jeff, who runs the thing, is a friend of mine and someone I believe in deeply. If you've got an idea, if you've got half a script on like a Word document somewhere, Jeff is your guy. He does a 15-minute free consultation. Here's what happens. The people that work with Jeff, their scripts, they win awards. Most importantly, what that means is the script is out of your head. It's not something you want to do. It's done, and you've got it in front of people that want to buy ideas. If you're going to write a script, talk to Jeff. At least it's free. It's 15 minutes, and he will get you going in the right direction. Now enjoy the show. And Michael McDonald's version is wonderful, and that guy's got an incredible voice. But that's the power of what Stevie does. Is here's a song that's a near hit. It charts and everything else, but his peers all want to make it because it's so beautiful. And I think that's the key word when you talk about Stevie Wonder is just beautiful music. So for me, this one, like you guys, our first round when we all agree, 10-9 Stevie Wonder. Let's go on to round 5. And Scott, you're going to kick us off. In round 5, you've got it, Bad Girl and Leave My Girl Alone. Hey, we got problems with the ladies. Go ahead and go, Scott.
Lady problems again. Figure that. All right, so You've Got It, Bad Girl. I'll just tell you right now, probably one of my least favorite songs on Talking Book. This song just doesn't do much for me. It's kind of got a generic subject matter. He performs it fine, but it's an original song, and it's going up against Leave My Little Girl Alone, which is a Buddy Guy tune. Well, I went and I listened to Buddy Guy's version of this song. It's from 1965, and Buddy kicks ass.
Yes. This
song is so freaking good when Buddy Guy sings it. Shout out to Buddy Guy. He's an amazing man. He's, I think, 83 years old at this point, and he's still recording and touring on a regular basis. The guy is ageless and a wonder. Now, it's clear that he influenced Stevie Ray Vaughn a lot. Stevie Ray is paying homage to him by doing this song, but Stevie Ray's version of Leave My Little Girl Alone pales in comparison to the Buddy Guy version. And if you're going to come, like you said many times, Pete, if you're going to come with a cover song, you've got to do something special with it. It's got to stand out in order to be considered against an original. And as much as I really just kind of shake my shoulders at You've Got It, Bad Girl, it's still Stevie Wonder, right? It's still Stevie Wonder doing his thing. And again, for me, that's good enough for 10-9.
All right. Yeah, in round 5, You've Got It, Bad Girl. I've got to admit, I'm a little tired of the Moog synth music. This is, again, where like someone should say, Stevie, let someone else grab an instrument and give you something. So he makes a choice to do keys and make horn-type sounds and flute and piccolo sounds. And look, you're Stevie Wonder. You have the ability to put those things in the studio. Please do that, because it's not as clean. It's not as clear. I do like the Brazilian vibes in the song, and the layering and the mixing is great. But again, back to that crazy panning. It's like someone with epilepsy or something was just having a seizure, twisting that pan knob back and forth. And it really was just not complimentary to the song. However, Stevie Ray Vaughn has brought another cover to the fight, and like you said, I went over and I listened to Buddy's version of it, and it's just not enough separation there. I love that he's getting Buddy Guy paid, but it's just you're going against something that's significantly better and more original from Stevie Wonder. So I've got this one, Wonder 10-9. Todd?
Yeah, I agree with both of you. You know, Leave My Girl Alone is a straightforward cover. There's nothing wrong with it, you know, and it would be great to hear that in a bar, hear it live, you know, but it doesn't add a whole lot to it, and it doesn't compete with the original a whole lot. You know, there's nothing wrong with doing covers, you know, like the early Beatles albums were like, you know, a lot of covers, and those are great albums. It doesn't add a whole lot, right? You've Got It Bad Girl. This is interesting, right? Because Stevie Wonder is one of those artists, and I've seen interviews with him, and you know, he says that he just allows synthesizers to sound like synthesizers. You know, he doesn't try to make it sound like a brass or sound like, you know, a clarinet or whatever. He just lets it sound like how it sounds, and it's super interesting, but it also sounds kind of dated. You know, like, you know, when that Moog bass kind of starts up at the beginning, you're like, you know, I'm in the 70s, and so it's very, very dated. And the synthesizer layering is I'm sure it was revolutionary at the time, but it just sounds kind of dated for us now, right? And it was very, very influential, which is why it sounds like weak sauce now. You know, it would be cool to go back to 1972 and then hear it for the first time, and I'm sure it'd be mind blowing. It's hard to hear now, but I love the jazz harmonies. I love the backup singing. I love the complex harmonies in the song. I love all the stuff it's original. So I gave it 10-9, even though it's a relatively weak offering for both the songs in the album, but I'm giving it 10-9 to Stevie Wonder.
When I heard his use of alternate sounds on the synthesizer, I know that he's comfortable with that, but then you look at the evolution that comes on Sir Duke, where he's like, wait, I'm going to hire people to play the trumpet. I'm going to hire people to play the sax. And, you know, it's just, and Sir Duke blows this song away. Like, what would this song be if they would have had guys actually blowing horns and brass? It would have been a different thing altogether, I think.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, that, you know, that gets back to how this is like a transitional album, how this points the way to other, you know, kind of like more maturity later down the line for both artists. But unfortunately, we never know with Stevie Ray, you know, what would have come.
All right, well, let's see what's coming next here in round 6. Travis Walk versus Superstition. So let me just say this before you guys say it. Stevie Ray Vaughn can burn on the guitar, and he absolutely should put in a guitar instrumental anytime he damn well pleases. And Double Trouble as a band. Reese Winans, Tommy Shannon, Chris Layton, those guys absolutely know their job, and they are great at it, and there's no doubt about it. They are Double Trouble. It's fantastic. He's the fuel, they're the airplane, and they all get there together. And I looked to see if there was something about this instrumental that made it special, because what he's going up against is special. And I couldn't find it. You know, I looked at Little Wing, I looked at all the other instrumental things, and Travis Walk is awesome. And like a lot of these songs, Todd, I think we agree on this. You play that in a bar, and people are going to turn their heads and go, yeah, fucking Stevie Ray Vaughn. However, the song before that song in the bar was Superstition, and not only is it covered by everybody, it's literally played by every band that goes and plays bars. I mean, you can hear this. I mean, I'm going to say this legitimately. Around the world, you can hear this song played 1,000,000 times in a day. And if he had a penny for every bar that had a band playing it, Stevie Wonder would be rich, because Superstition is fantastic. Everything about it is great. I wouldn't change a single thing. This, for me, is a 10-8 round, because Superstition is just a powerhouse of a song. Stevie Wonder 10-8. Todd.
Okay, so I'm less impressed with Travis Walk. I think it's album filler, frankly. You know, if you compare it with an instrumental like Rude Mood or Testify, then you know what they can do, or what Stevie Ray can do, frankly. I don't like the keyboard solo in the song, and I wasn't happy when Double Trouble added a keyboard player. You know, I think it should be sort of like an accent at most, like, you know, set the keyboard on tack piano and just kind of play, you know, accents maybe every once in a while, but like, I don't want to hear a keyboard solo on a Stevie Ray Vaughan album ever.
Right.
And so, it feels pretty uninspired to me. And it feels like album filler. And that's why I gave it an 8. And I feel like just because I have Stevie's playing on it, which is good. I saw him in the 1987 tour. I saw him in Fort Wayne. It was like the Fort Wayne Coliseum was 1/3 full. So we were able to push our way all the way up front. And, I've seen how blisteringly fast he can play. And I don't know what's going on with this. It must have been an off day, but I didn't like this at all. So I gave it an 8. On the other hand, Superstition is, like a godhead of all songs. It's amazing. Back when I was younger, I could hear the bass drum pedal squeaking in the introduction, on the CD, you can actually hear it. And it's just so great. Like the way it's mic'd, the way it's played. I don't know if you've seen the YouTube video where he plays it on Sesame Street.
Yeah, I'll watch that.
I think that's actually the definitive version. And Ray Parker Jr. is on guitar there, and you can see the horn section, and it's just amazing. Like that, I think that's my favorite version out of any version. And I think you already know this, but it was written for Jeff Beck, and that's the reason Jeff Beck is on the album later. It was supposed to be an exchange. But anyway, so that was easy for me. 10-8 Superstition.
What about you, Scott? You going to keep the knockdown trend going?
Yeah, poor Travis Walk is great as Stevie Ray Vaughn is. I think he wrote this song in 5 minutes. It is filler. It's not a very long song, fortunately. It just takes up a little over 2 minutes on the album. And I can't really explain what it is other than just a transitionary song into the material that he has in the later part of the album. Well, I mean, everybody on the planet knows about Superstition, right? It was number 1 in the Billboard R&B and Hot 100 when it came out. Rolling Stone, when they came out with their 500 greatest songs of all time, it came in at number 74. And yeah, it would have been interesting if Jeff Beck had done this song, right?
Yeah.
Little known fact, I was reading about it and realized that Jeff Beck came up with the opening drum beat to this song. So when they were originally working on it, he came up with the opening drum beat, and then Stevie started in with his Hohner clavinet, and that's how they developed the intro to this song, which is pretty cool. I never thought of Jeff Beck as a great and influential drummer. Also interesting,
especially
Stevie
when
Ray
Stevie
Vaughn,
Wonder's
of
in the
people,
room. Like Stevie's such a great drummer.
When Stevie Wonder's in the room, it's hard to be the guy who invents things, but Jeff Beck managed that, right?
Yeah.
And interestingly, a linkage between these two albums, Stevie Ray Vaughn did cover this song, Superstition, later on. It was recorded around 85, 86 when he was touring, and it was on the last set list of the last night he was alive. It was the first song on the first encore. So there is more that these two gentlemen have in common than maybe people realize. So let's get to the score. That's the minor part. It's 10-8 for Superstition. Travis Walk goes down. But we still love Stevie Ray Vaughn.
Of course. We do. And, how do you avoid the incredibleness? Like you said, it's Todd, it's the Godhead. And it's one of those songs that literally at any point in time, any place you go, you can't be surprised to hear that song play. It's like, oh, yeah. It's that kind of song. What's another song that's on par with that, where it literally is played by any band that goes anywhere?
Well, I mean,
I can't think of one off the top of my head that's like that. I mean, and it was a crossover, right? I mean, it was, this is an R&B act, and it charted everywhere.
Do you have any song at all, Scott, that you can think of that has this level of omni-ubiquitousness?
Geez, I mean, I just the ones that come to mind immediately are like Come Together by the Beatles, Freebird by Lynyrd Skynyrd, Stairway to Heaven. Songs like that, you listen to it, and just about everybody knows those songs. They've heard it. Hotel California.
Yeah, Hotel California. There you go. You can hear that everywhere. Yeah. Every band plays it. Yeah,
exactly.
All right,
aren't too many people haven't heard that song.
Round 7, Big Brother versus Wall of Denial. Big Brother versus Wall of Denial. Todd, it's your turn. What did you think?
All right. So Wall of Denial is a really interesting song. Again, Stevie Ray's playing around with the form. So he seems struggling, improving as a songwriter again, So it's AABB as a rhyme scheme going on. So he's trying to get away from traditional blues forms. And so that's kind of interesting. And he's getting back into the recovery kind of talk. He's talking about denial and growing and, that kind of stuff. So it's really interesting, I think. And it's a cool song on top of that. Big Brother, though, is like one of my all-time favorite Stevie Wonder songs. This is where he's taking a synclavier, he's making it sound like a folk guitar, like he's like, here's a fake folk guitar for you fake politicians, which I think is really cool. And he's playing harmonica, like a callback to Fingertips. And it's an amazing protest song, I think. And it's a prototype, you could see like this turns into Living for the City. It turns into Higher Ground. It turns into You Haven't Done Nothing. Like this is, I think, the first time you see really full blown, protest Stevie, and, the Stevie that's going to help push for Martin Luther King Day, And so I love this song. And what's so cool is it comes right on the heels of Superstition. Like Superstition doesn't even fade out, and this song comes right in. So if you went and bought the album for Superstition, it's like, okay, eat your medicine, here it comes. And it's so great. And the lyrics are amazing. He's like, you will cause your own country to fall. I mean, it's pretty heavy stuff, if you think you're getting a love album and a pop album. And this song I think is amazing for the directions it points to. It's amazing on its own. And it's pretty wild that this was on there. So 10-9 Big Brother.
What about you, Scott?
Well, I echo your sentiments about Big Brother, Todd, and the lyrics are absolutely scathing on this song if you read them all. I mean, a couple more is, your name is Althea. My name is Secluded. We live in a house the size of a matchbox.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's got this voice now, right? This socio-political voice that he is going to continue to use throughout the decade, and for very good reasons. So for that, Big Brother is a great song. The way the song lyrics are written, the musical part of the song really doesn't do much for me. So that has me thinking that Wall of Denial is strong. And the first time I ever heard Wall of Denial, I loved it. It sounded different than most Stevie Ray Vaughn songs I've heard up until this point, and this is his fourth album. So he's coming with a slightly different sound, and the songwriting is getting stronger. He's moving into the part of this album that I feel is his strongest part, despite the opening tunes, which are also strong. He's really making a late push here, starting with Wall of Denial. I really, really like the song from the very first time I ever heard it. So I'm going 10-9 Wall of Denial.
All right. Well, Big Brother for me shows when, like you said, Todd, this is like the emergence of the adult Stevie Wonder who's going to use his voice not just to talk about love and babies and moms and daughters and girlfriends and stuff, but he actually is being very candid and straightforward, just like you said, Scott. This song has very powerful lyrics in it, and his ability to move comfortably between these topics is indicative of the level of what Stevie can do, because not only can he play every single instrument in the room, but he also can write songs that are important, and that is a big thing. Wall of Denial is... Well, it reminded me a lot of Tightrope. I'm like, oh, we've kind of heard these licks, and this is kind of the problem with Stevie Ray Vaughn, is that he's not a one-trick pony, but he's got a handful. He's got a tool belt full of tools, and they all look like the guitar. And so it's this. I think Richard calls this Dockers rock, where Todd and I are back in that bar again, and Wall of Denial kicks in, and we like purse our lips and go, yeah, and we sip on our Gentleman Jim and maybe use our finger guns to shoot at the ladies as they walk by, but because we're just not that cool. But I will say this: the lyric in this is worthy of being right up next to what Big Brother is. Stevie's talking about his recovery, and one of the lyrics is, "Never knew something so strong could be washed away by tears, but this wall of denial was just built on fear." And that's straight out of Todd's comments earlier about this is the program, and he's in step and he's working it, and I will give a nod to that. But this round for me is Big Brother 10-9 Stevie Wonder. All right, round 8. Scott, go ahead and kick us off. It's Scratch and Sniff versus Blame It on the Sun.
All right, Blame It on the Sun. We get to a part in Talking Book where I'm starting to lose my focus and listening to it a little bit. I'm just not a big fan of this track. It doesn't do a whole lot for me, and therefore I don't have much to talk about with Blame It on the Sun. I think the way it's sequenced in the album, it's sandwiched between some incredible material. But for me, if there was a song on Talking Book that's filler, I think this is the one. Compared to Scratch and Sniff. Now, Todd, I think you mentioned before the show that it's got a really funny title, and it does. But this is a relatively short song. It's a little under 3 minutes long. It's got great energy. It's another Doyle Bramhall co-written song with Stevie Ray Vaughn. It's a funny story of lasting love. If you read the lyrics, I think it's really interesting. And as Stevie Ray is developing as a songwriter here, this is another one of the songs, along with Wall of Denial and the last tune, which we'll get to later, which I think really leave us wondering what if with Stevie Ray's passing. But Scratch and Sniff on this album, I think, is one of the best tunes. I really enjoy listening to it. I would listen to it every time. I'd never skip over this song. So I'm going for Scratch and Sniff, 10-9.
All right, when I had Scratch and Sniff, I think we all noticed like it's not the right title, and I thought, what is the right title? And I like the lyric "Gooder Than Gold" because that really describes.
That's what I put in my notes. If you would have called it "Gooder Than Gold," it'd be a top 40 hit.
See, there you go. Todd is smart. But it is funny that like it just that I don't know why they picked that title. Maybe it was just we're going to pay for this many words. I don't know. It just doesn't.
I think he was embarrassed. Like I think he wrote like a sweet love song, and then at the last minute he lost his nerve. He was too embarrassed.
I like it. He lost his nerve. It is a rocker. It is a fun song. It's about the love that you find when you grab a girl and you're just like, oh my God, this is working, and you just live your life and based on the truth that it works between the two of you. This is a song where, again, if we're in the bar and there appears to be a theme here, you can grab that girl and you can dance, you can spin around, and you don't even got to be good at dancing, but the song is going to take her to the place that she needs, and you're just going to do your best to not stomp on her feet and keep her twirling around and just rope dance a whole bunch. This is great, and it's 2 minutes, 30 seconds. You're in, you're out, you're fast, and like you, Scott, when I hear Blame It on the Sun, I'm a little worn out, and I need something different. Like Superstition was a great change of pace. It's a little bit dirty and everything else, but I'm just not hearing that in this song. I think it is the weakest track on the album, and both these songs have love in them and that kind of thing. Stevie Wonder wants you to sit in the park on a blanket making out, and I want to be on a peanut shell-covered floor in a honky-tonk with Stevie Ray Vaughn in this battle. So in this round, it's 10-9 Stevie Ray Vaughn. Todd?
Yeah, this was really, really close for me. And we've covered Scratch and Sniff, right? It's a horrible title, but you can see him growing really, really well as a songwriter, right? There's internal rhymes in the lyrics, there's witty references, but it still has like a really strong point of view. Neat song, it still rocks out. This is the kind of thing where you're like, geez, if he just did an album of these, it'd be amazing, right? And it's short. I really think this should have been the single. If somebody said like, call it Gooder Than Gold and, put it in the number 1 or 2 spot on the album and release it as a single. It's really, really strong, and it shows the songwriting growth that he's had. But then Blame It on the Sun, and again this comes down to personal taste. This is Stevie getting into his like cosmic spaceship and going out watching the galaxy getting born, and then coming back and writing a song about it. I mean, you can't compete with the time traveling spaceship, and also this is his ex-wife Cyrita writing the lyrics. My theory on this album, and I don't know if it's correct, is that he's processing his marriage breakup, and so it's weird that his ex-wife writes some of the lyrics on some of the later songs, but I just, again, it comes down to personal taste, and I give it 10-9 Blame It on the Sun, Stevie Wonder and his ex-wife.
Round 9, Looking for Another Pure Love and Love Me Darling. This will be my round. I'll start off, and I'll say this. Looking for Another Pure Love is beautiful. And here we have Jeff Beck getting his chance to play. And how much does it open up these songs when someone besides Stevie playing a moog or a clavinet is happening? It's great that he has a Fender Rhodes. It's great that he has the clavinet, but man, it's also great that you have the ability to call up Jeff Beck or Ray Parker Jr. and let those guys work. He is a maestro. Like you said, his wife writes a lot of these lyrics, and we have impossible expectations in Stevie Wonder because he's so fantastic and he delivers so wonderfully. This song is just okay, though. It's not an incredible thing. And at this point for me with Stevie Ray Vaughan, I've also heard his best, and I don't think this is probably the weakest track to me on the album. And barring a big finish, I don't see how he can win this fight for me because I've heard all the rockin' tunes. I've worn out the jukebox. You can't go into a bar where all these songs work well and say, I'm going to play 10 Stevie Ray Vaughan songs in a row and have this be number 9. It just doesn't work. We want to hear Fat Bottom Girls. We want to hear some AC/DC, and this isn't that. So for me, this round is 10-9 Stevie Wonder. What did you think of this round?
Yeah, it's interesting that you said you thought this was the weakest track, because in my notes I said this is the most inspired cover, I thought, of the 3 covers. Or maybe that's just because I like Howlin' Wolf the best of the 3. But I really liked the cover. I thought it was really good. It was sort of the most blistering out of the 3. But you're right though, Looking for Another Pure Love. Again, his ex-wife writing the lyrics, which is good. Jeff Beck, of course, on guitar. I like the little play it Jeff little thing, sort of like Play It Steve on Soul Man. I like that. I had not heard of Buzz Phaeton on guitar. I'm not familiar with him at all, but I'm guessing that he was the one playing sort of the duet in the beginning. But I really liked it. I agree with everything you said about how it just kind of opens it up when he has a second or third musical genius playing along. It makes sense that, that opens up the song and makes it better. As genius as Stevie is, it kind of implodes on itself when it's just him, and it opens up, when he just has somebody to bounce off of. So I gave it to Stevie Wonder, 10-9.
What about you, Scott?
Well, if Stevie Ray Vaughan had Howlin' Wolf with him and they did this song as a duet, now that would have been interesting.
Oh,
but they didn't. And you look at Stevie Wonder and Jeff Beck together. I mean, two of the best at what they do. Looking for Another Pure Love is the product of just massive amounts of talent, and that makes it a great song. And Love Me Darling is a Howlin' Wolf cover. So, even though I do agree with you, Todd, that this is probably the best performed cover on the album, and most Howlin' Wolf songs are really good anyway. Stevie Ray Vaughan does a really good job on it, but it's still Stevie Ray Vaughan doing a cover song versus an original with Jeff Beck. So 10-9 for Looking for Another Pure Love.
All right. Well, that brings us to the final round, round 10. And Scott, I'm going to have you lead off because we're going to let our guest go last. So go ahead and keep it going. I believe When I Fall in Love, It'll Be Forever versus Riviera Paradise. How did you do it?
These two songs, it is a very difficult choice when you start to really look at these two songs. I believe When I Fall in Love, It Will Be Forever as the last song on the album. When the album's done playing and I'm walking around for the next couple of hours, this song is still ringing in my ears. It's just an amazing song. So Peter Frampton's covered it. Elton John covered it in a duet with George Michael. Art Garfunkel, Josh Groban, Michael McDonald, more. Rolling Stone Reader's poll of Stevie Wonder songs has it at number 9. So a lot of people love this song, and I'm one of them. It's just an amazing Stevie Wonder song. Riviera Paradise is my favorite Stevie Ray Vaughan song. It was my favorite Stevie Ray Vaughan song from the very moment I heard it. Apparently, when Stevie finished this song, he felt that it was his finest song. It immediately took a special place in the playlist at his concerts when he was supporting this album. And it's just a beautiful song, and it proves it's an instrumental, but it proves that you don't need lyrics to make a great song, because the instruments do the singing for you on this song. It's a beautiful tune. It's got a lot of the future in it. I guess that's what I think of when I think about this song. Is this is Stevie Ray Vaughan telling us where he's going to go in the future. Just similar to how Jimi Hendrix was going into the future with Band of Gypsies and trying new things. Stevie Ray Vaughan is trying new things with this song. It's got a heavy jazz influence, and that's a direction I love. It really reminds me of the Allman Brothers classic tune In Memory of Elizabeth Reed, another instrumental, another song that's sort of sonically similar. And these are songs that I could put them on repeat on my iPod and listen to them at work continuously for hours and never get bored. I could listen to this song all night as I sleep. and I'd wake up in the morning feeling great. That's how I feel about these two songs. So it's a 10-10 tie.
Oh, you come on.
I got to. I can't give it to one. I love them both. I have two sons, and I love them both, and I love these two songs the same.
Oh, fair enough.
10,
all right,
10.
well, I'll take my crack at it. I believe when I fall in love, it'll be forever. God damn, that is a long title for a song. And everybody knows that I don't like long titles, needlessly long. So I believe was great. Just leave it at that, and that's a great title for a song. Stevie, please. Look, we're not going to get a monster hit in this last round, but we do have a beautiful song from Stevie Wonder. The problem for me is that, if this is possible, I'm a little bit beautiful song wore out. It's just, he's so incredibly talented. I've got him in an impossible position where he does elevate in this song, but I've heard a lot of this already, and I know that this is more of a launch pad. And he's going to show us even better things with the next couple albums as he goes on his run of Grammy-winning Album of the Year awards, 3 in a row in the 70s. Good grief. So this song is sort of that launching point, and I dig it, but I am left a little flat by it. And with all the respect, because I know there's a ton of covers and the fans really love this song, but when I hear Riviera Paradise, I also see Stevie Ray Vaughn saying, "This is what I can do now that I'm clean," and you look out. But like you said, Scott, this is this is an instrumental, right? And the voice of Stevie Ray Vaughn is never to be heard from again. So this, in effect, is his it's his last time. And I don't want to call it a dirge because it's certainly not that. The one thing that I really liked about it is he went in a different direction on this song. We have heard a lot of these guys. They're all thematic in these albums, and here he goes and just gives us something different. And as I was wrapping up my listening, this was the last song that came through, and I was able to get up and go wash the dishes. And in the time it took me to listen, I had the dishes done, and I was like, you know what, that's good enough for me. There's such a tiny, tiny difference. As you said, cowardly 10-10. I was going to find a difference. So I went 10-9, Stevie Ray Vaughn. Todd, wrapping us up, what did you do?
All right. Well, I believe when I fall in love, it will be forever, which is, I agree, too long of a song title. This song I think is amazing. I love this song. And like you said, it stuck in my head after I listened to the album. You know, this is the one you're kind of singing about a tenth as well as Stevie does after the coda. There's that coda part where he says, "Let's fall in love," and the beat flips upside down. That's the part where like my hair stands up. I love that. You know, that's an instant 10 right there. It always makes me think of High Fidelity, which is like a bunch of nerds sitting around talking about music. So I'm always into that. And so that's always good. You know, and it's an example of that melody that just kind of flows out of Stevie Wonder. He can just come up with melodies like that. He must just dream of melodies like that all night long. So this song is a 10. It's amazing, and I think it's the like apex of Stevie. You know, it's such a fantastic song. You know, Riviera Paradise is great. It's hard not to compare it to Lenny. You know, which I think is the apex of him. And I sat there with my tape recorder trying to figure it out on my Les Paul. You know, it's like most of 1987, 88, what I did. You know, it's great. You know, the phrasing is fantastic. The playing is fantastic, but you know, you can see some of the limitations as well. Like he's, you know, it's still like in that blues kind of whatever pentatonic minor, you know, and you can see the limitations of his knowledge of music theory coming out a little bit in that, you know, he's trying to break into jazz. He's trying to break out into other stuff. And you can see, you know, some of the limitations. I guess when he recorded this, he did it, the solo, and then the band played underneath that or afterwards that was added on. So, you know, so I don't know if that's the difference, because it sounds like he's playing just like kind of in one key and the band is doing all the stuff underneath. So I don't know necessarily if that's why it doesn't feel like it exactly matches up. And so it's not a 10. It's a beautiful statement, but I feel like the production and the band underneath somehow detracts from it. There's some ocean sounds underneath, which I don't like sound effects. And then of course I don't like the keyboard solo. So So if I could just get a clean recording of Stevie playing without the band and without the ocean sounds, that would be a 10 for me easily. You know, what's interesting is Stevie Wonder, when he turned 21, you know, all his royalties were released in a trust, and he enrolled in music theory classes at USC. You know, because he wanted to up his game and stuff. And I was thinking, if Stevie Ray Vaughn went to rehab and then he went to USC and took some music theory, that would be fantastic. And then he could record something like Riviera Paradise, because I feel like he's kind of straining against the limitations of his knowledge of music and that, you know, like I can see, again, this is like a directional album and this is a directional song, and he's pointing to where he would have gone, you know, and the blues is such an expressive form, and it's, you know, but it's also a simple form. And I can see he's trying to get more out of his guitar than he's learned. So I love it, and I could listen to it over and over, you know, but then I can see where he wants to go as well. And so it's kind of poignant in that sense. So I'm going to give it 10-9 to Stevie Wonder.
You hate Stevie Ray Vaughn's Requiem. His Requiem. This is his last song. It's his mass. You hate him.
It's a mass. I have to call it like I see it.
Yes,
I would listen to Lenny before I would listen to Riviera Paradise. But
interesting. Well, Lenny's a great tune.
Yeah, Lenny is a great tune. So I want to go to the scorecards. Scott, what do you think about what we're seeing here?
Well, you know, it's hard to overcome an artist like Stevie Wonder, who is near the top of his game. Stevie Ray Vaughn in Double Trouble, they put up a great fight, though. I mean, they have got some absolutely wonderful songs on this album. And most people, in hindsight, looking at Stevie Ray Vaughn's 4 albums, would conclude that this would be his finest album. So it's a good one that we were able to put up against Talking Book, I think. I think in the end, though, looking like Stevie Wonder.
Yeah. We agreed quite a bit, too, as a group. We all had rounds 4 through 6 going to Stevie Wonder. We all had rounds 9 going to Stevie Wonder, but we did not have any unanimous rounds for Stevie Ray Vaughan. And I think that speaks to, look, Double Trouble's a great band, and they really do a great job, but we're talking about musicality. Well, I think, Todd, you nailed it. You know, you've got someone who played a bunch of music, went and got some theory, and blew his own mind and showed us what that was like and took himself to a new level. Where Stevie Ray Vaughan, and even like his brother, and I love their music, you have to go for a specific thing when you go and you listen to their music. And it's wonderful. But, you know, Stevie Ray Vaughn doesn't have the tools. He has the brilliance, but not the tools that Stevie Wonder has.
No, I totally agree. I mean, Stevie Ray Vaughn is amazing. I will never forget seeing him up close in the Fort Wayne Coliseum, and it just blew my mind. I wanted to throw all my guitars in the St. Mary River right after I saw it.
I quit.
And, you know, and it was the most amazing thing. I never got the chance to see Stevie Wonder, though my wife did. And, you know, and it's just amazing. It's, you know, the blues is a somewhat, it's a somewhat different form, and you can see Stevie Ray trying to strain against that, but it's so interesting, and I wish we could have seen what would have come after that. You know, It's just so unfortunate.
Well, I want to get Richard's analysis. Richard, what did you think about our breakdown of the albums?
Okay, whew, I can restore my faith in humanity after all. We ended up with unanimous decision straight across the board. Official judges, unofficial judges, all the way across, everybody seemed to be in agreement. If you look at the total scores, it was 289 for Talking Book to 278 for In Step. That's an average of 96 to 93. If you add in the unofficial cards, as of this recording, it's 480 to 465, which comes out to 96 to 93, which is essentially a 6-round-to-4 fight with one knockdown. We talked in the pre-fight about what I felt were the strong rounds for each one. Talking Book, I said rounds 1, 6, and 10. For In Step, I said 2, 3, and 10. That's 9 possible points for each, and each of them got 6 out of those 9 points. So they were strong in their strong rounds, where they should have been. They were evenly matched. Now, where was the difference in this fight? Because it was a unanimous decision, and it was pretty clear who won. Well, rounds 4 through 6 were completely swept by Stevie Wonder. And add on top of that, insult to injury, round 6 with Superstition was a straight 3 knockdowns from the 3 judges. So that's really a lot of points getting taken away from Stevie Ray Vaughn. Then you can even go as deep as round 9, which was also a sweep for Stevie Wonder. That's a lot of sweeps in 1 week. I don't know if we've had that strong of a showing from one album. So basically, Stevie Wonder crushed it in the mid-rounds. There wasn't really much coming back. My only concern here is why the hell Pete would give a 10 to Riviera Paradise. That was like dying in a tar pit. It's so boring. And I believe is perfect. It is perfect. Anyway, very happy with the judge's decision. I can't say... I can't agree anymore with what they have to say. Good job, everybody. And can't wait for next week. It's going to be another tough one.
Yeah, Richard's wrong as always. You know, he never gets it right. So,
come on, Richard.
All right. Well, listen, I'm always grateful when we get to do this. I know that John would want me to express his thanks as well. It's wonderful that we get to spend time as friends enjoying this and sharing this and exploring this music that I hadn't heard these albums all the way through in maybe ever in a long, long time. I guess I heard In Step at Tower a million times, but not since the 80s have I heard it. So it's always wonderful to be able to share these moments, and I appreciate you guys both taking your Sunday morning to hang out with me.
Yeah, thank you. It's been fun.
Nothing I'd rather do really on a Sunday morning. This is awesome. I've got hundreds of albums that I listen to in a rotation, and I listen to a number of albums every day, but you can't listen to everything all the time. And the great thing about an album fight is you just it keeps you glued and re-glued in the old albums you've listened to a long time ago. And it's, in some cases, you're learning new things about albums you've had for 30 years. And that's usually the case for me.
We've done 20 album fights now, and already I've sensed a change in my ability to hear albums and what goes on. So yeah, it's a really fantastic thing. So Scott, build us another fight, and then Todd, anytime you want to come on and co-guest with me or co-host with me, the offer stands. We are never going to get through all the albums, and you get what to do.
All right. I would love to.
Yeah, Todd, really enjoyed your analysis. That was really cool. I mean, that's one of the things I love about an album fight is talking to other people, meeting people, and finding out what their thoughts are on albums that you've treasured, and
yeah.
For me, that's totally cool.
Yeah,
I appreciate
definitely.
that.
I love bouncing ideas off and hearing your opinions too. It's better when we disagree, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Makes it interesting for the listeners.